Hi Year 6, my name's Miss Harris and I am your new outdoor learning teacher. I'm really excited to be joining Ark Franklin and to be teaching you today. Just a little bit about myself before we kick off. I've lived in London all my life. I've been a teacher since 2008, so I'll leave you as your Year 6 to work that out, how long I've been a teacher. The last 2 years, however, I spent in the civil service. And the civil service is a humongous organisation. I think there's about 400,000 civil servants in the UK. And all those civil servants help the government to implement their policies. But we can talk more about that another day. So our topic this term is adaptations. I'm going to share my screen and then we can kick off our first lesson. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. So, as I said, welcome to Outdoor Learning in Spring 1. Our topic this term is adaptations. So, my first question, a very obvious question, I'm sure, is what do we mean by adaptation? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds or so to have a think about that. If you've got a pen and paper, feel free to jot it down, or if there's someone else in the room with you, feel free to discuss what do we mean by adaptation with that other person. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds from now. Fantastic. So, adaptation is basically when living things have special features that help them to survive in their habitat. This means that they're adapted to live in their natural habitat. Now, I'm sure you know what habitat is, but just as a reminder, an animal's habitat is the natural environment in which a plant or an animal lives. So, I think one of the most obvious examples of an animal adapting, being adapted to its natural habitat is the camel. So we're going to just start with that to ease ourselves in. So we were talking about adaptation being animals having special features. So I'd like you to have a little think. How are these animals, how are the camels adapted to live in their natural environment? What are their special features which enable them to essentially live in a desert? Again, I'm going to give you, I'll give you 45 seconds to have a think. Jot something down, or if you've got another person in the room with you, to have a quick chat about how these animals are adapted to live in their natural habitat. Well done, Year 6. So, as we said, their natural habitat is the desert. They're desert animals. And what are some of their special features, which means that they can survive in a desert? So if we think about what type of things, what the natural habitat is like, it's obviously very hot, probably not much water, not much food, and sandy. All right, so those are some of the things that these animals need to adapt in order to survive in that quite harsh habitat. So I'm sure quite a few of you got these. So we've got the hump, and this is for them to store food as fat, so they're able to survive in the desert for long periods of time. They've got lovely long eyelashes to keep out the sand. They've got wide feet so that when they're walking on the sand, they don't sink. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to walk on sand, but it's very difficult to do because you're always sinking. So they've got wide feet, so they've got a bigger surface area in order to spread their weight so that they don't sink into the sand. They've got leathery knees, which I didn't actually know about until I did a bit of research before this lesson. And that's to prevent burning when they kneel down on the sand. So those are all things that we can see how the camel has adapted, but also, which we can't see, but they've got very, very long intestines, all right, and that's to help them absorb as much water as possible. So that's obviously an internal adaptation. So today I'd like us to really think about animals here in the UK. We often think when we talk about adaptations, we think about polar bears or camels or giraffes. But actually, all animals and plants are adapted to their natural habitat. And we've got lots of animals living in the UK. And I've just put a few photos of the common ones that you may have seen here in London. So we've got obviously the fox, pigeon, squirrel, a magpie, robin, and when it's raining, you'll often see snails and slugs. So our activity today, this is what I would really like you to do. There's a very short BBC bite-sized video on adaptation. It's just quite fun to watch. It's only about a minute long, so feel free to watch that. I will put the link on your worksheet. And then the main activity, I would like you to either look out your window or go outside to a park or a garden, obviously with an adult or with their permission, please, and look for one of those animals or another animal that you can see in its natural habitat. Okay. If you see an animal, particularly if you've physically gone outside, I'd like you to watch it really quietly. And I would like you to think about how is it adapted to its habitat. So, for example, this morning I went for a little walk. I like to get outside every day, even when I'm working from home. So I went outside for a walk, and there was a squirrel in the tree. Most of the animals in the UK are quite scared of humans, so I crept up really quietly and I looked up and I just watched it. And I thought, for example, how does it climb up a vertical tree trunk? How is it able to store lots of food in its cheeks? What are its adaptations to enable it to do that? Because I certainly can't climb up a tree vertically, and I don't store my food in my cheeks. So what are those adaptations? So if you do see an animal outside, really watch it and really think, how is it adapted to be living here in this habitat? Obviously, if you can't see any animals from your window and you can't go outside, that's absolutely fine. You can research one of those animals that I had on the previous screen on the internet and have a look about what adaptations it has. So what I would like you to do, once you've either researched on the internet or you have looked out your window or you have gone outside, I would like you to draw or paint a picture of this animal, or if you get close enough, to take a photo of that animal. And I would like you to annotate this picture to show how this animal is adapted to its natural habitat. Just to give you an idea of how I would like this to be done. This is a picture of a badger. Just in all transparency, I did not draw this picture of a badger, but this is a picture of a badger. So I would like you to draw, paint, or take a photo of the animal. You need to have a title. So obviously I've got the title of a badger. I just as an aside, I chose a badger because I was pretty sure that you wouldn't be seeing a badger when you look out your window or go outside today. I've lived in London for 37 years and I've never seen a badger. But who knows, you might be lucky and see a badger. They are around, but usually not in the city. So, as I said, not usually in the city. Their ideal habitat is in woodland and open countryside. They live in a series of underground burrows and tunnels known as a set. So, once you've drawn your picture, you've got your title, I would like you to write a little bit about the habitat. Where does this animal live? Okay, and not just London, because obviously it does live in London if you're looking at animals in your local area, but where is it living in London? Is it in a tree? Is it in your local park? What is that habitat like? And then this is what I mean by annotation. Okay, so I would like you to draw arrows to the different parts of the animal's body that have been adapted to suit their environment. So, for example, a badger has very strong claws so that it can dig its underground burrows and tunnels. They have quite a long snout, which means that they can get right into little holes and find food, for example. So I have just done 2 annotations here. I would like to see if you could find 5. Now, you might be able to just see what their adaptations are by looking, or after you've done your observation of your animal, you might need to come back inside and do a little bit of internet research to find out how that animal is adapted. That's absolutely fine, because like with the camel, not all of the adaptations can we just see. Some of them we might need to research in order to find out how they are adapted. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So thank you very much, Year 6. I have really enjoyed our first lesson together. I hope you have too. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your annotated diagrams, or if you were lucky enough to get close enough to an animal and you've got a photo, an annotated photo of your animal that you have seen in your local area. So I'm looking forward to seeing that on Seesaw. So please make sure you do upload your work on Seesaw, and I will be checking Seesaw to have a look at your fantastic work. So it was lovely to meet you. Thank you very much, and I will see you next week. Bye.